Hi there. My name's Genevieve. You're probably wondering what I'm doing here today. Well, let me tell you, we found a way to grow money on trees.
Get it? My expert team is going to show you how our extensive research of the past, present, and future of investment sales is going to bring you key takeaways and show you what's important.
So, if you want to be on vacation like me, make sure to watch this video and get the best insights for your sales team and your investment banking branch.
So thank you, Genevieve. So as she mentioned, we're going to cover three eras: the past, the present, and the future. Now, from a timeline perspective, there are certain points in time where there were changes in the investment industry and that impacted the sales process. So prior to the 1980s, there was a lot of federal regulation which limited what kinds of services and products financial institutions could offer. And so what that meant was that there were a lot of standard packages to offer to customers. And from a selling process, it wasn't very customizable. Now, between the late 1980s to the early 2000s, there were several different changes in the industry. First is that there were changes to the regulation, which enabled non-resident players to enter the market. It also enabled standing financial institutions to offer more products and services. So that's where you see that change in the selling process, where now institutions were able to sell bundles across multiple different markets. That, on top of the IT revolution, that had a shift in consumer behavior, where we could see that consumers were looking for ease and convenience. And to be able to offer that, the selling process had to go from a transactional basis to a more relationship basis, and then incorporating elements of that relationship into a digital space. And so that takes us to today, where we're looking at the effect of the pandemic. Now, the pandemic has highlighted an increasing need for more digital processes. However, those elements of the relationship-based selling process are incorporated into what is called the customer journey. So being able to understand the customer's online behavior and offer them that ease and convenience for them to be able to complete their financial transactions. So now we're going to take a look at the past and some of the key trends.
Thanks. So we've recognized three main themes that define the past sales process. First is a firm-centric approach. Second, transactional relationships. Third, traditional business development. So for the firm-centric approach, investment sales have historically utilized a firm-centric approach by selling standardized products that fit the firm more than the customer. Even the incentive structures that firms use to motivate their employees focused heavily on sales as opposed to a balanced scorecard approach. This meant that customer expectations were not a primary focus for shaping their products and services. The second is transactional relationships. The relationships that existed between sellers and buyers were one-dimensional and transactional, as opposed to the holistic approach that's commonly seen today. As a result, the majority of relationships were kept at a very high level, as opposed to forming a more intimate relationship and discovering how to really best serve the customer. The third theme is traditional business development. In the past, business development was conducted in a very traditional manner due to a lack of digital options. Sales reps heavily relied on tools like cold calls. Face-to-face meetings have also served as a foundational tool, as they were seen as being a better way to build trust and rapport with clients. However, constant in real-life communication also created inefficiencies. Some simple and quick needs like signatures could end up being dragged out over days and weeks simply due to scheduling conflicts, and sales reps ended up spending too much time on non-selling activities like driving to meet clients. Next, we're going to take a look at the present.
Thanks, Chris. So we look at the current sales process from the 9 investment advisors we spoke to. It's a very similar process across the board with minor changes between them. But it all starts with lead generation. In today's day and age, this is mostly happening from referrals, either from existing clients or from within whatever organization they work. Then we see some sort of qualifying and discovery process taking place to see if there's going to be a fit at a high level between the client and the advisor. The first meeting will take place, and it's mostly just to discuss fit. No products or services are discussed at this time. It's just relationship building. Then some sort of proposal meeting takes place if they decide to move forward together, where products and services are talked about in more detail. And then finally, some sort of sign-on, which used to be an in-person process, now moving to more digital process, which can take up to minutes or just a few hours to do. Now, if we look at the forces impacting the sales process today, the first one we see is the access to self-serving options. So customers have unlimited options nowadays to do things themselves. So the industry responds to this by doing more trust and relationship building, where they can get out of a personal relationship so they can't get out of something like a robot advisor. Second, we see the world is becoming more complex than it ever has before. So with that, advisors are doing more holistic advice and financial planning to bring value outside of just investing. And lastly, we see the dynamic changes and faster pace of change that this industry hasn't seen before. So it's traditionally very slow in changing. However, now it's happening even more rapidly. So this is where technology and automation has come into play to really speed up processes to help out advisors to do things quicker. So something like a DocuSign.
So based on our interviews and research, we bringing it all together here, we have a best practice cheat sheet. So relationships, as we've reiterated, are very important in today's investment sales world. And part of that is leading with holistic advice, not just a one-off product sale. It's everything together. Technology is really important to enhance the customer experience, bringing them through the process much faster and more efficiently. And lastly, offering appropriate channels for different customers is something that we found was really important. So in our interviews, we found that in this industry, the target market is segmented by net worth. So as you can see on the right, we've segmented it here. And the number values, of course, change from bank to bank, but this is more just the average wealth amount that we came across. So with those lower net worth folks, a transactional or solution-based relationship is sufficient, self-serving or assisted by a non-dedicated advisor. Going into the medium net worth, having a dedicated sales person becomes a lot more important in providing advice and financial planning. And lastly, with that high net worth group, a large sales team with a total wealth management team, lawyers, accountants, investment advisors, all working together is what's needed for these higher net worth clients. And now we're going to move into the future.
Thank you. So 3 trends we expect to see in the future sales model. The first being an increased online presence. So traditionally, the industry has been slow to adopt online tools, but with forced adoption during COVID, we've seen much success, and we expect the online presence to continue to expand in the future. The second being a personalized people strategy. So as the information gap between investors and clients continues to shrink, the expectations of clients for a personalized strategy are growing, and the sales teams must be able to deliver on that. And third, analytics built into the sales organization. So from what we've researched, successful firms have started to implement analytics teams across sales functions to both deliver intelligence down to the sales teams and performance metrics up to management. Additionally, as the sales model has changed, so are expectations for the salesperson of the future. So in addition to the foundational sales skills that have always been a requirement to be successful in this role, firms are now also looking for analytical and data-focused individuals who can sort through all the information available to effectively communicate findings to clients.
Yeah, so our key takeaways from both research in the industry and from our interviews with industry experts, we see a real focus on adaptability. COVID-19 caused a major disruption in the investment world, unlike previous disruptions in the financial markets due to financial volatility. This showed a disruption with customer relationship management and acquisition of new business as well. The regulatory bodies involved in the investment industry have had to pivot to alter their processes rapidly to maintain business. There's a continued focus on digital sales. Obviously, there was a rapid shift in digitization during COVID. This as being used to help build trust and relationships online within the sales process by highlighting the need for more online presence and improvement of websites and content available to both prospects and existing clients. And the third is to invest in the capability of the team of teams. So top performing organizations will invest heavily in learning and development for their sales teams to equip them with the right tools to customize their offerings, as well as to provide that more holistic approach. So for example, you're no longer just a customer relationship, you may be an expert in the equity markets as well. This has helped to improve team performance and customer satisfaction. Thank you from Team 8 with our insights into the changing sales process in the investment industry.